happy holiday. It's Easter Monday today. Happy holiday to all Christian faithfuls and, of course, all workers across Nigeria. Welcome on board. Good morning. This is This Morning on ITV. I am Anuluwakbo Stevens here in Edo State, Nigeria. And, of course, I'll be having my colleagues join from Abuja and Lagos subsequently. But also on the table this morning is Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. It's Easter Monday, and of course the celebration is that Christ has risen, and in his resurrection we have all the lofty things of life. But that's a matter for another day. Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter. So how was the celebration like for you? All over social media, there was one interesting comedy I saw where the guy went to beg for rice, his usual style of begging, and it says he's rice. Oh no, he's around, you know, and it got a lot of people cracking over social media yesterday. But how was it like?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was great. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our spiritual life, particularly our relationship with God. And that was the central message across churches yesterday. And then, of course, some people also took out time to unwind with their families, you know, take them out, have a great time, and all of that.
Well, sadly, on the other hand, we saw what happened in Kaduna State during the early hours of yesterday, and it sparked another reaction as regards the insecurity situation in the country, and it's really sad. Before I get your take on it, let's bring on board Mercelina Unkor, joining live from Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, Mercy. Happy holiday, and of course, happy Easter celebration to you.
Good morning, Anu. Well, good morning, Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu. Happy Easter to you too. Amen. Christ has risen, and it's a celebration period, and of course also holidays, and a lot of persons are, you know, observing their holidays, and here we are today. Amen. It's a beautiful day in Lagos, a beautiful Monday morning, and we are grateful for life. We're grateful to be alive, and we're grateful for today.
Marcelina, how was the celebration like in Lagos up until now? I know for media professionals, one thing I cannot still, and I don't think I'll get used to anytime soon, is the fact that you get to wish a lot of persons a happy holiday, but then you still have to work on that day. But aside that, how was the celebration like in Lagos? Was it on a low key or the high spirit?
It was, I mean, some areas it was on a high spirit, some areas it was on a low key. You know, me myself, I just went to church. After church, came back home, and, you know, I was home all through, you know, and I was coming to work this morning. My friend was like, oh, media, you guys, you don't go on holidays. I mean, we're used to it already. So even if every other person, they're observing their holidays, we're always at work. And man, it's a good thing. It's what we sign up for. But in Lagos, you know, some parts of Lagos celebrated it, you know, after church, you know, they went out, while some parts was actually quiet, like my area. It was quiet. This morning, while I was coming to work as well, everywhere is quiet because of the public holiday, so.
Of course. Well, speaking of persons being used to it, I'm sure Dr. Sonny Duke is used to celebrating and working and enjoying the holiday while so what. Well, me, I cannot be used to it.
So welcome to the party. The fact that you're here sitting with me on this side, it means that you are a part and parcel of this kind of enjoyment, if that's how you see it. Over the years, it's been that way, and we've been used to it. But I know that for civil servants, majorly, it's one period they look forward to. And incidentally, this is a pretty long holiday.
From Friday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's 4 straight days.
Sweet.
No work. All right. But for us, I mean, we've got to keep doing it because we need to keep you informed, entertained, and educated so you can take action.
Oh dear. Okay. Now let's talk about what happened.
As exciting as the news is, and irrespective of the fact that across the country there's celebration, but we can't say the same for people in Kaduna State, Plateau State, Zamfara State, Sokoto State, Kebbi State, Benue State, and all of these states. And there is a conspiracy to perpetually make these places uninhabitable. I saw a video a few days ago where hundreds and thousands of people were on the long stretch of roads with their wares, their properties on their head, moving en masse. And this was in Nasarawa State. And the guy who did the video was saying, these jihadists, these bandits, these terrorists, they have literally sacked those people from their homes. And incidentally, in the build-up to Easter, there were stories that were going around that these guys are massing, mobilizing around, you know, these villages and communities, and that there's likely going to be bloodshed, more killings and all of that. And before you know what's happening, these things are actually manifesting before our very eyes. In Plateau State, Palm Sunday, so what happened? And then, of course, we're talking about Kaduna State. And I'm always concerned by the fact that when these things happen, when people are commenting on them, they are told, no, don't, you know, these people, they are brothers, you know, we need to be a bit, so we don't incite violence, we don't incite religious war. I don't get it. How do you beat a child and you tell the child not to cry? That's what's happening in the north. That's what's happening.
Or you tell the child how to cry.
Yeah, that's what's happening in Kaduna State. That's what's happening in Benue State. That's what's happening in Plateau State. Really These guys are being decimated on a daily basis. And I'm also wondering, how is it that it's so easy for these guys to just arm themselves, come to a community, kill as many as they want, just disappear into the thin air? And there are reports that sometimes when the army mobilizes, calls come from higher authority that they should not retaliate against this bandit, against this terrorist. Who does that? Now take that in itself, interface with what just happened in Iran. And EF-15 Eagle plane was shot down by Iran. 2 pilots were inside. One was rescued and the other one went missing. America deployed billions of dollars worth of equipment to rescue that one man. And they rescued the man and took him back home. That's a country that works. That's a system that works. Right. That's a system where you have everything being put in place. In this country and in this war against bandits, terrorists, and what have you, a certain General Uba missed his way or got captured by bandits and he was killed just like that.
Truly, it's a pathetic one, and we could go on and on and on and, you know, just talk about the insecurity situation in the country and how bad it has gotten. Over the past week, we saw what happened in Plateau State last week Sunday, and we saw a lot of Nigerians calling out on President Tinubu to issue a statement. Eventually he did. He went to visit them, spent 10 minutes. He did not even get to the community. Baba was just there at the airport, and persons who he came to commiserate came down to the airport to see him, and that sparked a lot of reactions on social media with persons saying,
because that's the insensitivity of those in leadership position, of those in position of authority. That's one opportunity for Mr. President to connect with the people that are grieving. If you say, oh, I feel your pain, I mean, can you really feel the pain of that woman whose only baby was killed, and in the process of burial she now gave the child, gave the son a machete to say, avenge your killer, because they've given a hope on the system and the structure. The primary responsibility of government is to provide welfare and security. And to me, this government has not really lived up to expectation. You know, the painful part is that it's not something that you are saying is waning. It's not abating. It keeps, you know, going in higher realms, in higher proportions, in terms of the speed of the killings, the frequency of the killings, and the amount of destruction that goes on a daily basis. The same armed forces that will go to other countries, they win medals, laurels, and all of that, and I will have this problem in our backyard. I mean, the result that is coming in is not really commensurate with what is, you know, going into it. So it's quite sad. So our hearts goes out to the victims, the family of the victims, and people are now saying you need to help yourself. If government can't help you, if the authorities can't help you, mobilize yourself and help yourself.
Yeah, well, is that a point we've gotten to in Nigeria? Only time will tell. But we would quickly love to bring on board Ikarata from Abuja. I'm pretty much assured that that is your main conversation for this morning. Good morning, Ikarata. Please welcome on board. Happy Easter, happy holiday. You want to take it over from there? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Anu Lwapo, Stephen Meselena, and Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu. Let me take it from where Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu stopped in reference to the 1999 Constitution. That's Article 14, subsection 2B, that says the primary responsibility of every government is the security and welfare of citizens. What are we talking about here? Sometimes, and we need to keep this on the front burner. If we are talking about the Palm Sunday slaughtering in Georgia, don't forget that on Good Friday, 3 persons were slaughtered. 3 persons were slaughtered. They went for Easter event, they came back, they were coming back, and they were slaughtered. And the media almost put that at the corner. On Sunday, we saw 17 killed in Gwe local government in Benue State. The Catholic Church attack, that's yesterday, let's not call it Sunday, let's make it look very close. Yesterday, we saw the killing, mass killing in Kaduna. We saw the policemen being taken down in Katsina. The other one that Boko Haram sacked in Borno. All of this, we should keep them in the front burner because we start to ask questions. What are armed forces doing? Why do they even exist in the first place? Yet, Nigerians are waking up in the morning. They are watching a Sonny Duke, an Anu, a Meselena, and an Atta. We don't want to fail. That's why we never slept. We woke up this early morning to keep them informed and ensure quality broadcasting from the ITV and radio platform. What's the military doing? What's the police doing? DSS and infiltration, the NIA, the DMI. Sometimes we need to start to speak truth to power fundamentally. Let me tell you something, Anu. This thing started from the deep north, taking over the middle belt, and the south will have its share. I can prophesy that very cheaply. They are striking in Kwara, striking in other areas. Soon it will move down to Edo State. It will move down to other parts of the country. And when this happens, they start to blame it on political enemies. If political enemies are this, then someone had said it before in prophecy, allow other parties to exist. So that when other parties exist, at that point, everyone can go to the polling unit to ventilate. But when we have only one party, and the judiciary and others are playing their game and killing other parties, then those who are not meaning well for the country, politically are losing out, on all fronts, then they will likely be aligning with these good-for-nothing terrorists who are killing persons. But yet, government must wake up and government must do the needful. What goes around comes around, but it's very pathetic. Persons are being killed. Even if you wake up between now and afternoon, you will hear boxing, Easter Monday killings. By afternoon, you will start to see the report coming out. Easter Monday killings. Now we have Black Easter. Now we have Easter Monday killing. Then tomorrow we'll have Resumption Tuesday killing. Where are we going from there? But it's pathetic. We'll be looking at that from the Abuja end.
Nigeria, that's the big question now.
It's become a daily occurrence.
Of course.
But you know, in my opinion, when a government becomes so reticent in being frontal in dealing with issues of this nature, this is what happens. Like Ikaru mentioned, we saw that in the Borno-Yobe axis. Gradually moved to the middle belt, and now it's moving down south. And I read a post yesterday, and the guy said when all of these things happened or were happening in down north, people thought that it won't get to the south, but it's moving in. But the point I'm trying to make is this: in Mexico, there was a drug lord known as Oseguera Cervantes. He was so wealthy, so influential, so powerful that he just thought that, you know, he could continue doing what he was doing. But what happened? The Mexican government mobilized massively with the support of the US government. They went there and brought the guy and his entire empire down. That's how a serious government deals with crime and criminality?
Well, over the past week, we saw the Minister of Communications say that they're going to put surveillance cameras in Plateau State to, help curb all of this. And the question as regards reactionary government came to the front burner. But I'll quickly love to move over to Mercelina Unko in Lagos to get your feel on this, because this is one too many. How long too long? Which way Nigeria? And I'd love you to talk about the people. How is this affecting us as a nation? Because I read someone actually did say that gone are the days where when someone died in Nigeria or in a small community, a lot of persons will be so pathetic, so sad, and the mood will just change. But right now, Nigerians will wake up to bad news every single time, and it seems it's killing our empathy in some way. Don't you think so?
Yeah, a lot of persons actually at this point, are saying that the best thing is for you to protect yourself. I mean, we saw where Very Dark Man went to Plateau State to tell those people that the best thing is for you, if you have, things to protect yourself with. And we also saw that the governor, Caleb Mutfwang, came out to say that you people, you don't need to take laws into your hands. I mean, telling people that they don't need to take laws into their hands at this point. I don't know. I feel at this point you just need to be able to protect yourself. See what happened. The president went to Jos. I mean, you went to Jos at the airport. You're going there to grieve with these people. According to you, you feel their pain, and you were at the airport. It was these people that came to meet you at the airport, and you spent just 10 minutes. I mean, it's really sad to wake up every blessed day to the same thing. I mean, we're waking up every day, repeating the same thing, saying the same thing, hearing the same thing from the government, saying it would help curb insecurity. We keep waiting the same thing. You're hearing from this, but from the state, from your hearings of Nigeria. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know, like Ikarata mentioned, you don't know what will happen next today. Maybe tomorrow you'll be hearing Easter Monday killings. I mean, we keep repeating the same thing. The government, they are there to protect the citizens, but we are not seeing all those things. They keep repeating the same story. The same thing keep happening every day, over and over again. How do we curb insecurity in Nigeria? What the people want is just a lasting solution.
Solution. One thing I cannot forget in a jiffy, right, was when the president went to Plateau State, and he said that to that woman who lost her baby, he said that I cannot give you money, no amount of millions I will give you would help quantify what has happened. It's only God. It's only God. And I was like, that's the president there saying that.
Yeah, and the governor said, advised the people not to take laws into their hands.
And he went there with an armored vehicle to see the people.
Yeah, because he was protecting himself, and he said he did that so he can have a platform to speak to the people. We know that's not true. That's it's like a smoke screen. You see, do you know that the killings is on a daily basis, but it's become so common that if it's not in the numbers, people don't really give it attention. It's on a daily basis. 2, 3, 1, like I just saw now in Borno State at the police station, a hunter was killed by terrorists. In some cases, some things don't even make the news. It is when they're in large number, maybe 20 people killed, 30 people. That's how this whole thing has become. Government needs to sit up.
Sure.
And again, when you have a system that creates opportunities for people who are also part of the problem to occupy leadership position, then it becomes a bigger problem, because it means that problem will never be solved. I mean, you recall recently there was a voice recording that went viral of the National Security Advisor saying, oh, these guys, I mean, you share that on our social media platform program. Right. Yeah, these people, they are brothers, they are sisters, we have, when we talk like this, it gets me so infuriated, upset, angry and mad, because these are guys that goes around with AK-47 and then they harm, kill, maim, destroy innocent people. I mean, look at the Palm Sunday incident. They just went into a community in Plateau State and they were shooting sporadically, killing people who were not even confronting them. I mean, how is that supposed to be a normal way of life? But that's what has been normalized in Nigeria. It's been normalized in Nigeria, and then you know what? when you have a country like the US commenting on what is happening and also taking action, you find some Nigerian elites, particularly in the north, saying all kind of rubbish. Meanwhile, these terrorists and bandits, they kill Christians. They also kill Muslims.
Right.
But the guys in the north don't see anything wrong with what they are doing. They are more concerned about the involvement of the United States of America to assist, to help. I saw this guy, I think he's a missionary, one Alex Bade or something like that,
Yes.
who has been coming, I mean, he's been calling out Mr. President on social media. And I decided saying recently that, oh, you know what? This guy is a CIA agent, blah, 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 stuff like that. Now, is that the crux of the matter? I expected that these killings, destruction that was seen in the country should be condemned by every Nigerian.
Absolutely.
But what do you see? What do you see?
Yeah, well, the reverse is indeed the case. Now back to you, Marcelina. What are we getting from your end this morning as we leave the security situation conversation for Ikarata and Abuja? Please go ahead, Mercy.
Alrighty, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has stopped recognizing the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, which ADC, including the camp, Senate President Mark and others. You know, them saying that it is the instruction from the directions from the court wasn't granted. So basically, today we are looking at the ADC vessels.
Okay, Mercy, thank you so much. We'll definitely join you in a bit. Well, back here in Edo State, Nigeria, we'll be looking at politics 2027 and its intrigues, challenges and prospects for the PDP, the APC, and of course, the ADC, which saw what happened last week with the ADC leadership, David Mark, the chairman, calling for the resignation of INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopita. Will that even see the light of the day? We're beginning to see factions. And there are those who are wondering and those who are asking, why now? What's going on with all of the political parties, the opposition parties in Nigeria? Why is it becoming a trend? And the ADC has also said, I think the APC is quite involved in this and want to see the downfall of the ADC. Are we heading towards a warring party state in Nigeria? Well, only time will definitely tell. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll move over to look at national dailies this morning. Please stay with us.
Benin Cultural Dance, a unique dance and quality dance steps of the Benin people. This dance is a vibrant mix of traditions, arts and beliefs, deeply rooted in the country's diverse ethnic groups and their rich history. The dance has artistic expressions depicting the people's history. Benin people have been famous for bronze and brass work, some of which is said to date back from the 13th century, especially ivory and wood carving. In Benin, the people dance to show respect, honor, dignity, which they honor. They dance to show royalty, as naids are seen in their numbers around their body depicting the symbol of kingship.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining, you're into This Morning on ITV. Now let's look at what a couple of national dailies have in stock for us this morning as we kickstart with the Daily Sun newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper, quite a sad one, with a big headline saying, "Bloody Easter in Benue, Kaduna." Subwriter says, outrage as 7 killed, worshippers abducted and terrorist attack on churches. Headsmen murder 9, injure 1 in Benue. Catholic bishop blames insecurity on nation's leadership. ACF laments killings in North, calls for reinforcement of security. In page 4, 28 and 27, of the Daily Sun newspaper. I mean, this just hits the nail on the head in our opening conversation as regards what happened yesterday in Kaduna State. And now we're saying it's not just in Kaduna State alone, also in Benue State. How long, too long, are we going to continue like this? The issue of insecurity in the country has become a conversation that has come to stay. At some point, I got tired of talking about insecurity in Nigeria, but it is what is going on now, and a lot of questions. Is it that the current administration, because I wouldn't want to call the president now, even though he's the first man in the country, is it that they are not well equipped enough? We do not have enough resources to tackle this issue head on. Now, remind you that there are also those who would say, could there be a political undertone to this? Remember, it's just a couple of months down to the 2027 general election, and we're asking what is going on. Do we have political undertone to this? Well, that being aside, the federal government, the security outfit, the chief of defense staff, the minister of defense, I could go on and on and on. Which way in Nigeria? I remember when Christopher Musa was actually reappointed back, a lot of Nigerians were happy and excited because they felt he has the well-to-do to manage the security situation in the country. So that is being overwhelmed now is the question. As regards the northern part of the country, whilst there are those who would say, okay, it has not gotten to my point yet, God forbid it's not going to happen to me, but what about those being affected? And how long would it take just before you know it and it gets to your point? Would that be when you'd be more majorly concerned? Over time, we've seen a lot of Nigerians want to have protests being done, Occupy INEC, Occupy Nigeria in Abuja and other parts of the country. Just over the past few weeks, last week precisely, we saw what went down here in Edo State, with a lot of Nigerians calling out for better good governance, better things to help protect lives and property. I'm sure that is what a lot of Nigerians are asking for at this point. And now we're getting to the point where we'll begin to have self-defense. That's another question. I remember a political chieftain in Delta State, Senator, I'm trying to recall his name now, the one who got married to the actress, who has always been vocal about self-defense. Is that the point we are going to in the country, where Nigeria will begin to man gun? Now, mind you, we see that happen in other parts of the world, and we see how it is over there. Now, not to talk of Nigeria, where a lot of persons have anger issues, and an average Nigerian man could be hungry. Remember when they say that an angry man is an hungry man, or a hungry man is an angry man? Would we be able to manage self-defense mechanism? That's another question. Well, it's really a sad one, and my heart goes out to persons who have lost their lives, families, and also the state as well. Please stay safe. That's all I can say at this point. But away from that, let's move over to another major headline this morning on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper, as it says that resident doctors begin strike tomorrow. On page 6, resident doctors begin strike tomorrow. Away from that, in business news, credit gaps, governance fears trail bank recapitalization, CBN vows broader access, experts push long-term funding. Other interesting headlines this morning on the Daily Sun newspaper: federal government declares 4 genetically modified products illegal, dangerous to health. Well, wondering what that is, do well to pick up a copy of the Daily Sun this morning. Lawyers weigh in ADC crisis on page 6 and 16. Subwriter says recommend Nwosu's restoration, holding a fresh Congress. We will resist plot against democracy. Who was speaking? David Mack, the chairman of the ADC at this point, who, interestingly, INEC has scrapped out from their website. On page 21, broken refineries, feeling hardship, price volatility. Who was speaking? Marketers. Again, Tinubu vows lasting security solution amid regional push. In security, Nigeria practicing negative democracy. Anglican Bishop Yahaya has that to say on page 26. Away from the Daily Sun newspaper, let's turn our attention now over to the Daily Trust newspaper. Well, this time around, the big headline says, funding without flow, water crisis depends across states. Funding without flow, water crisis deepens across states. So it says here on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, for context, that access to clean potable water remains elusive for millions of homes across Nigeria, and that they are either unconnected to public water service or endure dry taps despite billions of naira that state government claimed to have spent on water infrastructure over the years. And interestingly, I know one major state that is volatile to this is Abuja, shockingly, with the NDC coming out to say that at least 4,778 lives lost to cholera between 2020 and 2024, according to Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, this is also coming in at a time where Nigeria is currently facing and grappling with electricity, bad or poor electricity supply. Away from that, on page 7, bandits kill 5 worshippers in Kaduna Church. Troops neutralize 65 in Zamfara. On page 7, recapitalization, private sector credit drops by 1 trillion naira. 10 years after, Kwankwasia mega city unoccupied. Now this is on page 23. On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, there's a picture there as it shows a mammoth crowd welcoming Governor Yusuf back to Kano after APC National Convention. Well, away from that, INEC suspend voter revalidation amid rising concerns. INEC suspends voter revalidation amid rising concerns. Now, the issue regards voter revalidation has been on the front burner since the electoral umpire came out to talk about it or issue it to Nigerians. With a lot of person asking why, when you already have your PVC, aren't we smelling a foul play going on? Well, it's a good thing that it has now been suspended to help fix perhaps some of the lacunas that may be surrounding this and all of the controversies being talked about and addressed to the public. Because one thing that INEC cannot underemphasize or just put there at the front or the back burner is public enlightenment. And I feel that Nigerians are moving towards that state where we begin to hold all our leaders accountable and ask the right questions and not to be scared to actually voice out anything you have to say. Confusion, whatever it is, we are getting and tailing towards that point, and it's really beautiful to see. But away from that, Lassa fever death toll hit 146 as Bauchi, Taraba leads. Teenager sisters invent AI-powered tool to tackle post-harvest losses on page 20. Terrorists kill 5 policemen in Borno, Katsina, and it's sad. Well, we move away from the Daily Trust newspaper. The Punch is up next. Now this time around, taking a different dimension on the major headline, 2027 elections, political storm brews over PVC revalidation. Subwriter says opposition parties want INEC to cancel planned PVC revalidation. ADC, PDP, obedient to flag disenfranchisement, says rural voters at risk. INEC asks Rex to suspend preparations amid a backlash. Of course, you're aware that it has been suspended, and interestingly, a good thing. So on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have a picture of what went down over the weekend in Ogun State precisely, with our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu there, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the Minister of Aviation, a host of others, Ogun State Governor as well, during the inauguration of Gateway Cargo International Airport in Iperu, Ogun State. This happened precisely on Saturday. So right now we have Ogun Air, which is quite great to see. Now let's believe that other state governments, all the state governors will tell the same line and look forward to better, creative, more sustainable, service and policies and things that would actually affect the citizens for good. Well, moving away from that, Easter attacks. Bandits kill 16 in Benue, Katsina, Kaduna on page 7. ADC, no secret deals with factional chair on page 8. Federal government hikes 2026 borrowing plan by 11 trillion naira on page 24. 2027, Atiku hires U.S. lobbying firm for $1.2 million. Now, this is according to a report. Talks intensify as Bauchi governor delays ADC defection on page 8. Obedient mobilized for hashtag Occupy INEC protest, which they interestingly would kickstart in Abuja if it eventually sees the light of the day on page 8. Tinubu okays 3.3 trillion naira power debt bailout. Lagos pastor, a wife nabbed with illicit drugs on page 4 and 5. And finally, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Oyo 2027, Makinde moves to name successor. Who could that person be? Well, only time will eventually unveil. Now, the This Day newspaper is up next. The This Day newspaper leading with what is going on currently in the electricity sector in Nigeria, as it says, Tinubu approved 3.3 trillion naira payment plan to curb liquidity or illiquidity in power sector. Subwriter says 15 power plants sign 2.3 trillion naira agreement with federal government. 223 billion naira already disbursed, says presidency. Move will restore confidence in power sector. Who was speaking? Vev Hainjan. We'll see how it goes. August 2025, INEC memo reveals appointment of Mark-led caretaker committee invalid. Okay. Middle East crisis. Fitch reviews Africa's growth projection, raises Nigeria's inflation to 15.5%. This is in business news on page 5. ExxonMobil declared to declare FID readiness on $10 billion deep water project soon. And finally, on the These Days newspaper, in Easter message, Shatima declares better days ahead, insists that difficulties temporary. Now, the Nigerian Tribune is up next. Power sector debt, the major headline, says Tinubu approved 3.3 trillion naira to tackle electricity crisis. Army rescues 31 abducted worshippers in Kaduna. Subwriter says bandits kill 7. Suspected armed herders kill 9 in Benue State. Nigeria's banking market to hit $16 billion by 2023 on 7% growth. Now, according to a report, in health, irregular bedtimes could harm heart, brain, doctors warn. INEC directs REC to suspend plans on voter revalidation exercise on page 12. At 70, this is my story as a confident child. Who is speaking? Benga Daniels has that to say. Well, do well to pick up a copy of the Nigerian Tribune or perhaps the Daily Sun or the Nation newspaper to stay up to date with what is going on currently in Nigeria and also in the world at large. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll move over to our main conversation for this morning right here in Benin. Please join us again.
Onwa is rich in culture and traditions. The people are a mixture of traditional worshippers, Muslims and Christians. Onwa is located at the northern part of Edo State. It consists of 2 local government areas, that is Onwa West and Onwa East. It has a total number of 13 clans and 21 political wards, according to National Population Commission 2006 census. The population of Onwa people is put together at 251,686. The people love tradition and culture. Historically, the people ancestors in deep quest to hand down on their future children a society of love and friendship.
Thanks again for joining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Of course, we're looking at the global energy crisis against the background of the trigger that came into effect with the US, Israel and Iran war. Since that war began, the world is into a global energy crisis. When that crisis will end, nobody seems to know. But I think that was actually compounded with the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, which controls about 20% of the global energy demand. Now, I'm wondering, just 20%, so what happens to the 80%? That's one major question that has been there. But the bottom line is that for a country like Nigeria, it's not just the Iran war that has compounded the energy problem in the country. It's been there for years and for decades. And for some analysts, it's time we explore and of course maximize other alternatives so we can bridge that gap. In the month of March, temperatures were very, very high. People suffered a lot from heat rashes and all of that because power supply was drastically reduced, and that seems to be the crux of the matter. And to help us make sense of all of this, let me welcome an energy expert, engineer Stanley Asabo. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Viewers, good morning. Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to you. Interestingly, we've had this conversation over a period of time. Yeah. For Nigeria, I'm sure you will say that the global energy crisis triggered by the Iran war has compounded Nigeria's problem. You want to take it up from there?
Yeah, actually, it's true. It's compounded the Nigerian problems. But prior to this time, Nigerians have been seeking for alternative means of energy. And the current administration, when they remove subsidy, they focus Nigerians' eyes on CNG, compressed natural gas. So for the past 1 month, what we have experienced in the alternative drive for people to solve the energy crisis and problem that is currently going on with the multiple fuel price hike in 1 month. We had multiple situations in Nigeria where prices, just in March, where prices has fluctuated and increased up to 1,400, 1,600 per liter, depending on where you are in Nigeria. And that saw a mighty surge in the awareness and the drive for CNG as alternative source of energy. So with the war currently ongoing, like I would say, we are not the cause of the war, but yet the war is ultimately affecting Nigeria even deeper than before. So it's important for Nigerians to now look at this current alternative that has been there. Okay. It's been there. It's just that most people are not yet, embracing it.
Okay, we'll get to that point. Let's talk a bit more about the current power dynamics in Nigeria in terms of energy.
Yeah.
Is it like, are we saying that the situation that we are in now in Nigeria, we should just forget about this transmission company of Nigeria, distribution companies of Nigeria? Because I just saw that the president has approved about 3.3 trillion naira to tackle the illiquidity in that sector. And I know that when that news first broke out, the Nigeria Labour Congress was advising the presidency not to listen to these guys. Perhaps, maybe, as some have said, this is money for election. But are we saying that, the current power situation is, it can't be solved? Because we are not seeing any impact. It's like so much is going in, but nothing is coming out.
Nothing is coming out. Well, for me, I believe that when you have the #1 leader, the direction of the leader should determine what every other person should follow.
Okay.
So for those that are at the helm of managing the power sector in Nigeria, perhaps there is something more that cannot be seen with the natural eyes. Why power implementation agenda is not working? Because it has worked with some states doing it by themselves, and it has worked with some individuals doing it by themselves. So why the federal government attempt to bring light to all Nigerians is not working? So I believe there is more that we are not hearing. Okay. There is more that those at the helm of affairs they are going through that the normal eye cannot see.
Okay.
So I just believe there's a solution to it, because we have records. Edo State had a record. The former administration built a power station. It worked. This one now is also doing, and it will work. So how come the one, BDEC, the federal government, energy, what we used to call NEPA, all those issues, they are not working at the moment? So I believe strongly there's a solution. Okay. The solution will be those that are running the affairs with the presidency and with the intention that may not be spoken, just like you are saying. People may be saying the money that has been voted again for this is maybe for election or for other things. We may not know how true those things are, but we are not having results, and we need results.
Now, before now, were you having conversation as it relates to the energy problem in this country and even in other civilized countries? People have been talking about moving away from fossil fuel and going into renewable energy, wind, sun, solar, gas, and all of that. Renewable energy, you don't really have to categorize gas, because gas and crude oil, they go together. But today we have seen a change from that, conversation to gas especially. What is the uniqueness in this?
We say Nigeria is oil and gas nation. And the oil dimension of Nigeria has been the focus over the years, since in the 50s, 60s. But actually, Nigeria has more gas
than
oil. Because in the exploration process, the first thing that you come across is gas. And even in the distillation process of the crude oil, there is still the release of gas. And we have over 200 trillion cubic feet of gas in abundance. So the conversation shifting from normal energy to gas is number one because it's abundant in Nigeria. We have it so much and we don't need to import it into the country. We only just need to focus on harnessing what we have. Then secondly, the gas, CNG, when it's compressed, when natural gas is compressed to less than 1% of its volume at high atmospheric temperature pressure, then you have what is called compressed natural gas, which must be housed and contained in a strong cylinder. And it's cleaner. What makes it cleaner is because it's a hydrocarbon that does not burn and emit much carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide.
But it does emit carbon monoxide.
Yes, but the percentage is far lower.
Okay.
So that's why we say it makes the environment greener. It makes the environment safer to live in. So it's safer, it's a green energy, and is also far cheaper to use. Look at now, we are on 1,400 naira per liter of petrol. The equivalent of CNG is 266 naira.
Even up to now?
Yeah, because the last price is 380 for SCM, that's standard cubic meter. That's the way it is measured.
Okay.
So if you look, the equivalent of a liter is 0.7 SCM, and that is equivalent to 266 naira. So look at the massive saving from 1,400. You are looking at 1,140.
Yeah.
And for that level of savings, over 50 to 80% savings on your normal, transportation cost of using petrol. If you are now using CNG, that's a lot of savings.
Okay. Let's talk about the concerns that has been expressed, which is that, like you mentioned, trillions of cubic feet of
over
gas
200 trillion
available, abundantly available
in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, the same way we have water everywhere, but people can have access to the water. The same way we have crude oil available in Nigeria, people don't have access to fuel. I mean, so what is the possibility that this is doable? I mean, just look at some of the natural resources that I've just highlighted. I mean, I saw a report just now. Water scarcity is already hitting states. Now, Nigeria has crude oil. We can't refine as much as we want. We have to depend on the international market. So what is guaranteed that this is not going to be extended to gas, or if it's already not being extended to gas in terms of how we access it?
Well, if you look at the beginning of the oil revolution, people started and more investors came into it, and the government embraced it. So currently for the gas industry, the revolution that is currently also going on with gas, the government is supporting it with the presidential CNG initiative. That's a major, signal that our government is supporting the penetration of gas across Nigeria. And with that body set up, that's a sign that Nigerians should be hopeful that the body will be able to do what they have to do, especially as the administration continues. Then for individuals, it's also an opportunity. Whether we like it or not, the petrol, crude oil prices is dependent on the international market, OPEC. And so that fluctuation and everything, there's no stability in there.
So gas is not dependent on the international market?
At the moment, it's not dependent. Our own is just payouts. Our government needs to liberalize, the process of getting the policy around, getting your CNG station, up and running in a shorter time frame compared to the period we currently have. Over a year, you need over a year to 24 months to be able to set up a full CNG station. So which is an act that needs to be drastically reduced. And government can also make available what is called a mobile refill unit to make the gas more accessible to Nigerians. So for me, I believe anything good, and with the problem that you are seeing with whatsoever is good, is an opportunity for people to look into profiling solution, and there is solution. And one of the ways that we can have the solution is for investors to embrace the gas revolution. The future of Nigeria energy is gas. The future of Nigeria energy is gas because of the abundant nature and the safety measure and the goodness of CNG in your vehicle. It also makes your engine to last longer compared to the petrol. And also the advantages of the compressed natural gas far outweighs the use of petrol. And another major safety aspect of CNG that should make Nigerians to embrace it is that you require 540 degrees Celsius for it to inflame, for it to ignite and catch fire. And for you to have that, you need a saturation, percentage of 5 to 15% in the atmosphere, which is not also possible because the CNG gas is lighter than air. So whenever it's released and exposed, it goes above the air. So it's relatively very, very safe. So I will encourage Nigerians, don't think of the negativity, rather think of this is an opportunity. It's a business opportunity, it's an investment opportunity, and it's a cost savings opportunity for Nigerians.
Yeah, you talk about the environmental implication. That's really my interest in a way. And you also mentioned that comparatively to crude oil or to petrol, CNG emits lesser carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. And these are known pollutants that compound the problem of environmental pollution, particularly as it relates to greenhouse gas emission. And then you also talk about climate change and global warming. And most environmentalists will say, go green. Go green means go for the greener energy. Solar, wind, and biodiesel, and the rest of them. So let's talk about the environmental implication comparatively of CNG.
Right. Comparing CNG with petrol or diesel, CNG is top-notch. Top-notch in the sense that even with your vehicle, you will discover that the exhaust fume that comes out is far not the same with petrol or diesel, because it's a pure methane hydrocarbon. So the percentage is far lower compared to the petrol and the diesel emission of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So ultimately that makes it far cheaper. And because it's also abundant in Nigeria, are we going to leave what we have in abundance and be driving after what we don't really have much? So comparing CNG with the major sources of energy right now and affordable sources of energy right now, CNG is far environmentally safer, and we need to embrace it more.
So if you have the opportunity between solar, wind, and these other renewable energy models comparatively to CNG, in terms of pollution, which would you recommend?
You see, there are various variables. Are you getting it? So when you are thinking of the environmental impact, you also talk of the cost impact. How much will you require to have your entire, assuming you have an industry running, to have your industry retrofitted with solar system? It will be more costly compared to using a CNG cylinders. And also those factors needs to be brought in. And also for me, I will consider the comparative advantage. And moreover, since I'm into the CNG industry, I will also promote the industry where I'm impacting Nigerians with. So currently, CNG is good.
Okay, I want to thank you for coming on the program. Engineer Stanley Asabo is a renewable energy expert, giving us insight into comparative analysis on the global energy crisis that we have in the world right now. The Iran war is a major telling point on the global energy market, and nobody knows when that war will end. And if nobody knows when that war will end, it means that what we're probably paying now for petrol may increase. And that's the challenge. You want to comment on that as we call it a wrap now?
Absolutely. And the solution to that has already started. When I use the word the solution to that, just last month alone in our conversion center, we broke a record. The number of conversions that we had in 1 month was the highest last month compared to any number we had last month.
So more people are embracing liquefied natural gas,
especially transporters.
Okay.
Because the cost is astronomically very high. Just imagine where you are using 10,000 around petrol. On CNG, you'll be using barely less than 2,000 right now. Because what your 10,000 naira petrol can do, CNG of less than 2,000 will do it for you. So we call on Nigerians, because we don't know the future and when this war will actually abate and be completely over. Because most times, even when the war, the missiles and everything ceases, the impact
It will still be felt for a long time before
time, and also rush.
Okay, now let me take you on this point, which is a huge concern. When you look at water, which is a natural resource, people can just sink their boreholes and then they start getting water. But if there is no power to power that borehole, you can't get water. Probably will now resort to maybe solar inverters and stuff like that. You can still get water out of it. But you can have instances where there's water scarcity. People have to travel or move long distances before they get access to water. Now, for crude oil products, byproducts, the diesel, the petrol, the kerosene, and the likes, sometimes you have scarcity, and then it becomes difficult for you to get it. We find instances where people have to queue up for days, maybe for weeks or months. They leave their vehicles at the petrol station, hoping that when the station gets, they can come get. We're also seeing that with CNG. I mean, when I drive around town, I see places where there are long queues, and I'm wondering, is fuel scarcity going to happen again? I'm not aware. Let me think of the next available petrol station to fill up or something. And then I look closely, I discover it's a CNG station. That's a major challenge. Now, it's in abundance. It's everywhere. We have it in abundance. You said we have more gas reserves than petrol or crude oil, as the case may be. But accessing it is still a challenge. You still have people queuing up, leaving their vehicles at the stations. I mean, what do you make of these? Isn't this something that, very discouraging?
Number one, every crisis is an opportunity for, investment. And investors need to see the problem. They need to see the challenge for them to be, involved. So what we are seeing is a problem of infrastructure gap of CNG, stations. And we have the solution, and the solution is twofold. More stations through, private investors and government initiative, seriously driving for more stations to be built, and encourage, more private individuals through funding to have access to bring in these compressors for, the CNG.
But the policies are not there to encourage that, for more people to come in. Like we're seeing more or less like a monopolistic environment now.
Yes, but it has a time frame, and the current administration, they are working on that. Because currently, on your way from Benin to Lagos, you see 2 stations that are not owned by, the current one that is a major, CNG station in Edo State, as an example. And also in Lagos, you have another company. So what that means is there's already license given to other, companies, not just the one that we know in Edo State. So it means before the end of the year, there will be more, stations coming up through other licenses that has been given out. And so we should expect something good.
All right.
It's a good crisis.
All right. Engineer Stanley Asabo, thank you so much for availing us your thoughts on this subject matter. Has to do with the global energy crisis, which of course has been triggered largely by the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz in Iran. The IRGC is holding on. It's like a chokehold, actually. And before you go through that point, you have to perhaps get clearance. Not perhaps, you have to get clearance from Iran, the security agent, the military agents there in Iran. But Trump is saying if Iran refuses to open the Strait of Hormuz quietly, it has to be opened, or it will be opened violently, because he's threatening to release hell on Iran because of they are holding on to the Strait of Hormuz, which has really compounded the energy crisis in the world. And apart from the Strait of Hormuz being held down, Iran has also been striking energy interest in the Gulf states, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Iraq, Oman, name it. These are Gulf countries that have huge reserves of oil. One of the biggest refinery in the world is in Saudi Arabia. Aramco was recently shut down as a result of some of these acts. So it's a huge energy gap that needs to be filled. But when will the world end? We don't know. So you've got to explore alternatives and other means to stay afloat, keep your business going, and continue to enjoy life. It's the TMI on the ITV. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Don't go away.
The land of Onwa is inhabited by the people with common ancestry, language, religion, economic and socio-political ties. However, irrespective of their subtitle differences in language and culture, they share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Onwa traced their origin to Benin Kingdom. As a result, for a man to find a comfortable place for living. The name Onwa was derived from the largest and longest river in the area, which is known as Onwian or Onwa. It means one who makes merry in affluence.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Welcome back. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has directed all resident electoral commissioners to suspend publicity and arrangement for the planned voter revalidation exercise. The commission disclosed this in a letter dated April 4th, 2026, signed by its secretary, Rose Onara Anthony. INEC, however, asked all recs to continue necessary preparation for the exercise, including sourcing personnel and preparing INEC voter enrollment devices. RECs are also directed to step down all publicity and arrangement for the voter revalidation exercise and await further directives from the Commission, the notice stated. On Wednesday, INEC had announced plans to commence a nationwide voter revalidation drive on April 13, 2026, as part of efforts to update the voter register ahead of the 2027 general election. Now, meanwhile, the letter titled Notice of Meeting with Resident Electoral Commissioner stated that the meeting with RECs, earlier scheduled to hold physically on April 9th, actually on Thursday at 11 a.m., will now be conducted virtually via Zoom. And I mean, this is where we are. Well, this actually sparked a lot of reactions online. Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu, as to why do we have to revalidate our permanent voters card? What happened to the previous information gathered by INEC? Even the opposition parties also reacted to this. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question that everyone is asking. And I'm sure they didn't quite expect the reactions that came. And that reaction has led to them rescinding that decision now. What we've always been used to is that, yes, they carry out continuous voter registration exercise just to create that opportunity for more and more people to come into the voting net. And then those who have challenges with their voters card, they can renew the card. If you have challenges with maybe location and all of that, all of these things will be sorted out. But we heard from Professor Josh Almupiton-led INEC saying they want to revalidate a permanent voter's card. But as I said, they've changed their mind looking at the implication on all of that. Well, I think that, you know, we need to learn something. Those in leadership need to learn something. When you go on a trajectory of propaganda, there's always a limit. All right, it gets to a point it can't work anymore, because the more you want to push out those things, the more it is obvious. I mean, the feelings, the shortcomings, the things that you have failed to do, the promises that you made that you didn't keep, there will be a day of reckoning. When that day of reckoning comes, it will be a time for you to now tell the people what you have done with the promises made. And those propaganda will fall flat, and it will not make any impact. And then people will see you for who you are. And then they'll start, you know, making that decision before that day.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about propaganda, the 2027 election, I feel like it's finally here, because unofficially it has started.
Yeah.
I mean, over the weekend, we had the Easter celebration, and we saw a particular woman sharing food, sharing packages, supposedly from the president. Also, when we had the Muslim faithful celebrate theirs, we saw sharing of food items. So, yeah, those who would say that campaigning has started unofficially. But away from that, 2027 and its intrigues, what are really the challenges and the prospect for the PDP, the APC, and of course the new bride in the system, the ADC, which is now going through their own turmoil of leadership crisis, supposedly. But let's not also forget a background story. This didn't start today. I remember when the coalition movement started, even though some persons would say don't call it a coalition party, we had the same Nwosu come out to push against the newbies coming into the party and into the system, and that actually sparked reaction. In fact, it was on a national TV, and they actually talked about how they didn't go through the front door, they went through the back door. He is still there, what is going on? And that was pushed off. Now INEC, the body, has weighed into this, even though they are saying it's from a court ruling that they are working on, and they have supposedly cancelled, if I'm to put it that way, the leadership of the David Mark as the chairman, the Ruth Aregbesola, and we saw them have a press conference over the past week, over the weekend, and David Mark is calling out for the resignation of Joash Amopita. On the other hand, Joash Amopita is saying they are just working by what they are getting from directives, and it has nothing to do with political undertone whatsoever. And I remember someone did ask him that if they go ahead with the Congress, because they're supposed to have their own national convention come up April 15th, 2026, what will they make out of this? What will make out of whatever they resolve out of the Congress? And I mean,
yeah, okay, so we'll start the conversation with the ADC. When the ADC started pulling their weight, we saw government responding because of the caliber of the people who were coming into the party, the likes of former Vice President and the Syria presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And then you also have Peter Obi, who was such a big force in the last election on the platform of Labour. And then, of course, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, Rotimi Amechi. I mean, these guys, they've been there in the political space for such a long time. So coming together, you know, show that, you know, they were really out to give the current government a run for the money. Don't forget also that all of these people came from different political parties. It wasn't just the ADC. In fact, we heard that the ADC literally, you know, gave the leadership of the party to these guys that came, and that's what gave birth to Senator David Mark becoming the maybe interim chairman, and then Rauf Aregbesola becoming the secretary. All right, and then we heard that, you know, some of these guys also resigned. But fast forward, the court cases started coming in, and when Joash Amopita came on board, he did recognize the leadership of Senator Mark as the chairman and Rauf Aregbesola as the secretary. Right. Now, Josh, I think was the last week, came out to say, look, right now we are de-recognizing the leadership of the ADC because there is a Court of Appeal judgment. But the Court of Appeal judgment says all warring parties should maintain status quo. What was the status quo before that judgment came? The status quo was David Mark, chairman, Rauf Aregbesola, secretary. Joash is saying INEC wants to stay neutral. But his concern is that there are about 9 ongoing cases within the ADC, and they don't know how all of these will pan out. So the opposition party members, the coalition members are saying this is a partisanship, and it just shows that INEC has taken a side in this matter. In any case, the Court of Appeal judgment that came from one nephew or so is someone who wasn't the chairman, was the vice chairman. And many of them are now saying, look, we were coerced to signing our resignation letters. Oh, wow. So that's the challenge. So for the ADC, only the courts, to a large extent, can really help to salvage the situation right now. If the courts can expedite action and restore the stability in terms of legal stability of all of this, then the party can really move forward. Because right now, you're probably going to see a situation, people who jump to the ADC may start looking elsewhere.
Really?
Yeah, they start looking elsewhere because right now, you can't pick form for any position when you don't know the future of the party. You don't know how it's going to end. That will just end your career. And Joash Amopita is telling them, look, don't do any Congress. Don't do anything until it is sorted out with the court. The party is saying they are going ahead with their congresses and whatever they want to do. But I hope we don't see a repeat of what happened in Zamfara State, where the Supreme Court nullified all the elections that brought the entire House of Assembly member. I think a similar thing happened in Plateau State and one of that. So we hope it doesn't get there. But the onus is on the judiciary to really stand up for the rule of law, what is right, so that the party can have a breather and contest favorably in this election. And then you go to the PDP. I doubt if the PDP has a direction or a focus right now.
Well, they had the convention
over
the past
they do.
week.
I agree with you, they do. But you know, it's still a crisis-ridden party.
True.
Whether they've stabilized post-convention, only time will tell. Because now, Wike's faction of the party seems to be having its way. In Nigeria politics, anything can happen. All right, but as it stands now, if Wike continue to have his way, Wike is seen as someone who has strong followership and strong support to the APC government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That would just mean that perhaps he will mobilize the party for AP. But he's saying that he remains a member of the PDP. So that's on the one hand. Right. And then you go to the Labour Party. The Labour Party is gone, completely gone. I mean, they couldn't manage their crisis. They couldn't leverage on the obedient movement. And now we can really see that the obedient movement, we can actually separate both of them. The Labour Party on the one hand, and the obedient movement on the other hand. The obedient movement was a Labour Party. It was a conglomeration of people who wanted to see a better Nigeria, who wanted to bring change through the electoral process. And they saw in Peter Obi as someone they can invest that currency, political currency in. And unfortunately, they did their best. It still didn't materialize. And now the Peter Obi has since left the Labour Party to join the ADC. And people were saying that that's a big mistake, should have stayed back, galvanize the party, see how you can strengthen the party, and all of that. Well, for the APC, they're having a field day, mopping up people left, right, back, center from all the other political parties. Sure. But that is not to say the party is also free from internal crisis and all of that. But how they're able to manage it will determine how the election goes for them. But we must accept the fact that under the APC, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, things have not been going the way they're supposed to go. And there is a limit to which propaganda can help you. Insecurity is unabating. The economy is in parlous state. Insecurity, I mean, I talked about that. The power situation is very, very poor. So you look at all of, I mean, the president said if he's elected, after 6 months, he's not able to stabilize power in Nigeria. Nigeria should not vote him.
When did he say it?
He said that. He said that. He said it.
Oh my God, this is Nigeria.
Yeah.
Really.
So this is where we are. So it's a day of reckoning. Yeah, the things you said, we'll take it interfacing with the things that you have done.
Of course.
If you've done them, good. If you didn't do them, that the judgment is left to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Action, they say, speak louder than words. Even though the adults would say, why now? Why is what is going on in the ADC? Why is it happening now after the coming in of Kwankwaso? Is the APC scared? The APC, on the other hand, have denied anything at all to do with it and saying, you know what? They don't have any hand in this. Well, only time will eventually tell. It's a sweet one as we move over to the 2027 general election. Away from that, we now turn our attention over to Abuja, where Ikaro Ata is ready to take the baton of power. Over to you, Ikaro.
Thank you very much, Anu Oluwapo Stephen and Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu. Indeed, so much to talk about here. The political space is not looking very good at all. Even for the APC, like Sonny Duke raised, I was at the APC National Convention, precisely at the Eagle Square. And you wonder, when you see delegates from Kwara, at some point they were almost exchanging blows. And so much policemen and civil defense went there. And at some point, they asked journalists, you cannot come close to take shots. And they're almost exchanging blows. And you go to some area, you find some other persons protesting, but because of the fact that it's the ruling party, many cannot speak. But now, quickly, thank you, Anu and Sonny Duke. Let's now turn our attention away from politics to the issue of security of lives and property. My name is Ikaro Ata, and this is Independent Television, Abuja Network Center. In the 1999 Constitution, Section 14, as crafted by the crafters of the Constitution, Section 2, Article 14, Section 2B, says that the primary purpose of government security of citizens. Across Nigeria at the moment, we are seeing killings unabated. Now, killings are named. They be somewhat reduced to the day that they took place. Easter Palm Soccer in Easter, Kaduna in Katsina, Black Easter in Borno. We just named that. And we moved on, and the next day, the pressmen are looking for new story angles, and the old ones are not kept in the front burner. Well, on Friday, just about less than 2 days after President Bola Tinubu had left the Jos airport, another set of killings took place again on the plateau. This time, not as much as that in Jos North or Angwarukuba. 3 persons were again slaughtered. At this time, we want to look at the president's visit to Jos and matters arising. We'll touch on general insecurity across the country. My guest is Dr. Aruna Garios Gololo, former military personnel and a chieftain of the ADC. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Yeah, quickly, let's start with first the Jos killing. Are you among those happy that the president actually went to Jos and calm nerves? Let's start from there.
Good morning, Nigeria, and good morning, viewers. I think, to me personally, Gololo, I have something to say. It's regretful to have a killing of a people in the state like Plateau, because I'm a citizen, I'm a Nigerian, and I don't want. We need security. Before the president say he will give us light, security, and whatever, and the economy. So, president did not visit Jos. President visit airport. Put it very clear. He visit airport because when he went to the airport, he tell them there is no light. So from there, he just addressed them to go.
But the airport is in Jos.
No, but I expected him to go to the scene. He visited airport, not to Jos. There's a difference between the town. You cannot just come, Dr. Nambi Aziko, in the airport, you address me, then you go back, then you tell me, say, you come to Abuja. You must have go there, see the family, have a condolence with them, the group that we live in the government house, you see them.
Now, go ahead. Now, you're saying that the president did not visit Jos, he only went to the airport.
He visited airport just for him to register his presence and his condolence in the airport by paper. But the people who concerned, he did not see with them. They did not meet and discuss and see does he see the people involved, whom they killed, the cops, where they are. And you visit them, that will make them more happy. Say, yes, even president and governor come to the place. Governor visit to the scene, yes, but president visit airport and go back to Lagos. Let us put it very clear, simple.
So you are saying that President Bola Tinubu would have gone to government house, would have gone to Angwarukuba?
Yes, to see what happened. By the time they vote him, I think he went to, when we are campaigning, I campaigned for him that time. We went there inside Jos and campaign at the stadium. Why don't you go there and gather the people and talk to them? Even that place, from the airport, he said there's no light. And if the same president tell us, if there's no light, we should not vote him. So automatically, he is confirmed there is no light. So there is no need to go for him again.
But now, let's now come to some of the takeaways from that issue now. Why did you think that Governor Caleb Mutfwang and others arranged all those persons, the bereaved families, into the airport and said, look, the president interacted with them?
Why must even the governor on the first place, His Excellency, must arrange them there? He will arrange them where the things happen, where they seen. Because president want to see them and condolence, not to airport. We are not talking of commissioning of airport, commissioning of how he land. No. Why must the family even drive to the airport on the first place? If I'm the person, I will not go. I lost somebody again, I will drive to the airport. For if you want to come out with me, I in the place and have a condolence and sign the book. Then I know, say, president visited me. Or you group them inside the Jos stadium where people will group many. You say, I'm sorry for what have happened, Jos, and they will take prompt action that this thing will not repeat itself again any longer. Because look, most of those things happening in Jos, I want to advise both the Muslim and Christian. They don't have any town less than that Jos, and all of them, they born and brought up there. If there happens something, you say you revenge. This one say you revenge. That is what is happening just since. And that thing started since during Jang Mayoga. He was my senior in the military, but it started happening since his time. And up to now, we cannot get, during the former governor, they think low a level, to a certain level, that's along. this present senator, the thing lower to a certain level. We have to understand two things. We must live together because this is Nigeria. You're a citizen, I'm a citizen. So any citizen we involve is a wrong thing. Whether you're a Christian or Muslim, you want to kill somebody who doesn't commit anything. It's wrong. We have to learn how to live together. Government cannot go everywhere. Help us to live together. No. We are the one to decide to live together and learn. If I do anything I'm wrong, let the world come out and tell me, say, you are wrong. Simple. But by the time some other group come out, say, yes, they kill Christian or they kill Muslim, we'll continue having this problem.
Now, let's come back to the president's visit now. Let's look at the speeches. The first speech, which I want you to react, is the speech which I know you watch very well, by Jonah Jang, who was your superior then in the Nigerian army. Now the two of you are retired. He said, as far as he's concerned, what happened in Jos on Palm Sunday was politically motivated and aimed at stopping President Bola Tinubu from getting a second term. Do you agree with Jonah Jang?
No. Before President Tinubu come, one day Jang was there. Why does that thing happen? One, my Oga Jang, why he is there as a citizen, Air Force, but he's my senior in the military. But one, he was even a governor. When they elect him, the things still happen. Why that time it was Tinubu, President Bola Tinubu, is he in ballot? That is started happening since during Obasanjo. So, and he himself could not be able to manage it. When the diarrhea came, he manages a little, but when the other governor, Komdala, managed it fully. Sometime in Jos, we will say almost a year, there will be no crisis mostly. Look, there's a difference between government and managing of crisis. Managing of crisis, don't present yourself as a be. That is why in the military, I don't care, we don't care whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. Can you do the job? Go and do it for me. Simple. They don't say because I am a Muslim or I'm a Fulani, I cannot be given a CO. One, I'm right to be as a commanding officer or brigade commander or GOC or a plateau commander or company OC. It is necessary. You forget about that because in the distance you will have a cosmate who are Christian and you have the many friends. Even me myself, I have a cosmate who are Birom, Tarok, and even Ankoi, and we are close cosmates. If they want to marry, even I go to the church, cross sword for them. So you must learn how to live. Even the Jang, Ogajan did not tell the president the truth. They are the leaders. If something happened, don't bring religion or sentiment.
Let me come inside. If I know you watch that clip all through. Let's take the first takeaway from the clip and ask for your opinion. All the leaders who spoke told Mr. President that we can't tell you what happened. We want to come and meet you in Abuja. When Jang made his allegation, he ended up want to come to Abuja to tell you the real thing. When Mutfwang spoke, he said, want to come and tell you the rating. When Nantawe spoke, want to come and tell you the rating. Bongon just said, Mr. President, find time so that we can come to Abuja and tell you the rating. Why are they not able to tell him the rating at the Jos Airport?
They're supposed to tell him what happened in written and then explain and call the people whom this thing happened, the victim, to explain what happened. Both the victim, because the thing happened in this event, the crisis, all those people involved and close, even before that thing, the matter has come out and have representative explain what happened. But the time once something happened, one group just explain, then the other group will leave them alone. And they are Nigeria, and they are citizens, and they are from that plateau. How? Look, you see, most of these people, I know much about plateau. If you are not now, say you are a Muslim in plateau, you cannot get in later. Say you want to join the military or any other things. There's a chief now, I don't want to mention him, he's a chief now, presently. He was born and brought up in plateau. He's a senior military officer. He's a chief now of this thing. He finished his jobs. To get admission into Nigerian Defense Academy, he could not have a letter, indigene letter, till you go Kano and get indigene letter. Now, he's a chief. Born and brought up in Jos. Why? He's from that state. Why don't he have the citizen letter? He's from that state. In my state where I come from, in Bauchi, we have some people who are not from Bauchi state. Some of them are Igbo, some are another Asia Kiri, and some other tribe but they have, if they want to get anything admission, they give them. Because you are born and brought up there. I see a reason why we have those segregations.
Now, you're saying that the problem on the plateau, particularly the one, okay, let's now come, because analysts have come forward to say, look, the problem in Jos North is a particular problem on its own. During Jonah Jang, that issue was raised, it escalated. Now, Angwan Kuba had come up again, Jos North have been mentioned. What is wrong in Jos North?
You see, when you watch very well, religion play a big role in conflict in Jos. Both the imam who are there and the pastor, they are preaching. Preaching does not to their followers. A leader is a word, because when the people who you are leading may follow the word. Both, I'm quoting both the Islamic scholar and also the pastor. When they are preaching, you had their preaching, nothing to write home about as a leader.
They are exciting.
Yes, you as a leader or religion leader, you preach good because God said he will punish somebody who bring crisis, because somebody who don't know anything about it more. So those people must be switched up, and anyone who makes that preaching, whether is a Christian or Muslim, must be taken to give a statement so they have a peace.
About when they took as Young and others, when they were angry, they made some comments. Who will now arrest them?
You know, especially this government now, there's people who are above the law. Yep, when they speak something, you can see if the whole minister of FCT will say he will flash the smart TV and get the journalists reporting live in channel. Shehu, he said if he will smart the whole minister who is a governor for 8 years, is a well-respected citizen who is a minister now presently, and he said he will smart the TV.
You are saying Wike should have been arrested?
Yeah, of course.
How?
You don't above.
Can anybody arrest Wike?
If you commit, Wike is above arrest. The above arrest.
I'm asking you, can anyone arrest Wike?
Of course. Okay, why are they arresting people who come? Why do they arrest Erfa? Erfa is not 8 years ago now. Why do they arrest Attorney General Malami? Is an Attorney General? Is Wike the Attorney General? He is not. Even the lawyer, he said, which court does Wike appear and he win a case? None. Look, this government is the government of themselves. Since they come, do you see they make declaration of their properties? This doesn't make sense. That we don't know now. Jury don't be declared asset. And they even will
they may have declared private.
No, you can't declare private. No, journalists, listen, this thing is open. You are a journalist. We don't fear anybody. Me, I don't fear anybody. I can respect you. That is nothing to Gololo. Nothing. Let us say accept the truth. Does he declare the asset? This is the only government. You see, the president is campaigning for himself. His wife is campaigning for the first lady of the mother of the town. His son is campaigning, city boy. His daughter Yalo is campaigning. Are we in Uganda?
Somebody can campaign.
No, there's no way you campaign for your father. Allow the people who have the party to campaign.
But they are
you a campaign coordinator?
They are citizens of the country.
You are citizen, but you cannot campaign for your father. On what ground? Allow the party to campaign for. If you do something good, people will campaign for the
country. But they may be standing on the mandate.
Oh, mandate on what? No, because they have because we have department. That is just on that presidency. Do you see where they make any objection? Okabio himself have a charges, more than 2 charges in the EFCC, and is a leader of the assembly, president. Hey,
we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let's come back to the issue of Jos now. You talk about the issue of religious leaders being apprehended, not being above the law, and all of that now. But I ask you a question you have not touched.
Yeah.
What is the core problem in Jos North?
The core problem of Jos is the leaders of the Jos. Jang himself is involved, because what they are telling the people is wrong. And if you watch it very well, it only happens within the Jos town. It doesn't happen in
that's just not.
Yes, in Shandam. It doesn't happen in Panjim. It doesn't happen in Kanke. It doesn't happen in Kanam. Why? It doesn't happen in Wasi. Why is it only just not all the time? All the time that problem happens, you see it just not. Just not. Why? Why is this happening there? Even Mango, it was one this governor.
But I think during Jang there was this talk about the Hausa Fulani Muslims trying to take over Jos.
How? You are born and brought up in Jos, and then you want to take over the town as what? As Bongo and Jos or what? All those one is just, that is what we are having the problem. Somebody will just come say this person want to take over from where I come from. Is it not Nigeria? You are a citizen, I'm a citizen. I have right to stay anywhere. You have right to stay anywhere. As long as you bound by the law. As long as I'm not a criminal, I can stay anywhere. You can stay anywhere and you can establish. Does it mean Plateau, the people of that from indigenous, they are not in another state? They are living their comfortable life. Look, till we put that sentiment this trap is wrong. You are in Nigeria. You look at in the US where we say borrow this democracy, they say US first. Put Nigeria first. Simple. And the president when he visited you, he said no light is not going there. He said no light. That's why he cannot. So
no,
him no say there's no light in that.
Are you not sure that maybe some persons are sabotaging him?
There's nothing like a sabotage. The minister he put for power is resigned, but he's contesting for government.
He said he has not resigned again.
So he is not going to even win Ishen or Monia, even in the bottom, talking less of to be a governor. He can't win anything. There is no light. Look, tariff, paying you if you buy a car within 5 minutes, you will just hear the light, tee, tee, tee. He is gone. Is that the governor who will go and contest for governor of Oyo State and he win? He can't win even a councillor. All these people, what you're supposed to do is that you perform, we vote you. And then look at what even the APC they want to bring. That they will give automatic ticket. Me, I have a member now presenting me. I was the one who make the voting in my community because my local government will have one half the rep. He didn't perform anything. Then they will say they give automatic ticket. And we go for one party system.
No, but
journalists, one of the things that we are not going for one party system is competition. If you win, you win. If you don't win, you lose, you lose. Simple. They say one party system, Nigeria.
No, I'll come to that before we close. I'll ask your thought on the issue of the partial collapse of ADC. But for now,
no collapse for ADC.
Let's collapse.
In a week, I want to collapse for ADC. That Gombe have resigned. I have the.
I know.
He's resigned.
We'll come to that here. And let's quickly now touch on other insecurities in the country. Yesterday was not a good one. Kaduna boiled, Benue boiled, Katsina boiled, Borno boiled. What's going on? Is it that the military officers, yourself and others left, don't have the script?
You see, when you are talking about coming of criminals, especially in the military, it has two options. One, the person in charge of that area, does he have all amenities need? By now, we're supposed to have a missile that we can launch from here to anywhere we want to launch, because in RT is there. And if you calculate the Shilka we have, they are not there. Now, people whom they deploy the day of they do even that convention, more than 50-something thousand policemen here. Why don't they deploy them for that area? And then look at the people when they deploy that day for ANEC office within Emirates. I mean, personnel car more than how many tanks? Why don't they carry that tank to Borno, Plateau, Katsina, Kebi, where we have those Lakurawa? They deploy here just for a civilian, and they can tear gas the civilian, but they cannot tear gas the people. Let them release money for army, Navy, Air Force, police, and DSS, and civil defense. The budget they are doing, you will see the budget, but all the budget...
But I had spoken to the army chiefs, and they told me that Tinubu gave them money. I know I've spoken to them, I've asked them questions. They said if the president funded them properly.
Listen, if you say they don't funded them, tomorrow will be in you will go back to Kogi. That's the truth. I'm a professional in the military.
So you will keep lying that the president is funding you as a service chief, a defense chief, when you don't have money or equipment to fight.
Listen, who put the chief?
The president.
Who put the defense minister?
President.
So they cannot come out and tell you, say, this is what he did. Me, I'm a professional now. Even your OC, when you're in the military, let's say you're a plateau commander, captain, or second lieutenant.
That means you are afraid.
You can never go to see or say, my OC do this. Now, when you talk, they say, wait for your time. So he cannot tell you through. They did not phone them. Okay, let them, if they phone them, what do they buy with the phone? Ask them question as a journalist. What type of weapon do you buy? Is it Shilka? Is it 105? Is it 1845? What do you buy? Is it jet? What type of jet? And what type of naval boat do you buy? Then if it's police, what type of weapon do you buy? Where are they? Which company do you buy it? We should not deceive ourselves. We were professional at that one. We are not professional police. In military, I joined while I was 16 years and passed out while I'm 19 years. I know everything about it. And I've been to different formation in operation. Liberia, I went twice. And I went to Yugoslavia, I went Somalia. I went therefore, I know what is war. So nobody can tell me about that. What I know is that the phone is measured on paper, but it is not released.
Okay, let's hope. But beside that, now, pending when the phones are released, with the current equipment they have, is it that the military, the police, the DSS are overwhelmed? Now let me ask you what I asked the other time. Where is our infiltration? No, the truth, DSS, DMI, for CID, there is infiltration.
You see, what happened is that...
Can't we infiltrate the bandit, infiltrate terrorists?
Their own is just to arrest. Okay, look at, just put it in this place. The people, those ones that they arrest in the coup plotting, it is them arrest all of them, right? Almost the whole people they arrest, no even plateau commander. I'm not taking a battalion commander, plateau commander, none of among of them, all of them. They arrested lieutenant commander. You know, the rank of lieutenant commander is equivalent to a major. Can that one seize the sea? Is not the chief of naval staff. Then they arrested the other one, Adam Estiaban. That one is the squadron leader, is equivalent to Major 2. Can that one seize the air? Then the coup, most of those who even arrested them, both the generals, I put it to them, they have never participated in any coup. Me, one during Bahari, one they overthrow Shagari, I was deployed between Odo and Monia. One Babangida overthrow Mayoga, also I was deployed between Oyo and Ishei.
That means you are a coup plotter.
No, I'm telling you the professional.
You are a coup plotter.
Yeah, no, I joined the distance so many times. So say coup.
And how do you plotted coup?
Listen, coup, say, one they plotted, how many of them they are prison? Coup plotting is a different.
And you plotted
they nothing like you coup. This, look, if you are...
No, if the coupists deploy you to overthrow Shagari, to overthrow Buhari,
you must be
that means you are
that's what
involved
I'm
in
telling you.
coup.
Listen, if they are doing any coup, you as a captain, they can't tell you what's happening.
Okay, they deploy you. Okay.
They just deploy you and you will act. If you fail to this thing, you go for court-martial. Okay, if they go for coup, during the Abacha, 1D and Anko, they accuse them of this type of a coup because it's the same thing. They put them in this thing and they judge them. Those people up to now, they are not judged. We don't know where they are. The family don't know.
Okay, now what can we do now? The killings are on. What can we do so that we don't end up maybe hearing Easter Monday killing, work resumption killing by tomorrow? How can we stop it? What should we be doing in the immediate?
What we will do is that let the security agents come up and if they have the phone, let them do it. But I know say the phone doesn't reach them. That's what. We need to buy weapon equipment. By now, we're supposed to be detecting. If anything is moving, we see all moving objects. Not to, they are advancing again. Look, when you are going for where you are, you expect there will be, there's something they call when you are coming under enemy effective fire. Dash down, cross to the nearest cover, observe and return fire. So, which means from vehicle you cannot dash down. And you cannot observe and return fire. When you know this is the place you are coming for, you drop from the
Can't we even use drones? Look at drones, Ukraine, Iran.
Drone, you know, you cannot.
Everyone is
all
playing
those
drones.
Local drone from Ukraine is not a drone. When we are talking a drone, you talk of Iran. Those are
but you can get the one from Iran.
Drone, when you are using a drone, you must have a target, accurate target where to go, and you draw your soil map before you release.
You can even have surveillance drone, not just
you
bomb.
cannot say this. That's
okay,
get out.
Our time is flying now. Quickly, before we come on board, our Benin Network Center, Dr. Sonny Duke Okosu and Anola Ostephen were discussing something about your party, the ADC, and the ADC appeared to be like a party that is very crippled now and already in intensive care unit by INEC. Quickly, your take before we hand over to our
We
Lagos
don't have any
Network
caretaker.
Center.
We are not in oxygen. Our conference continue. INEC have no right whatsoever to suspend any party, and they don't have right against it. They will not register for a party. It is a court, and that boy have resigned since we are there in Adua Center where he resigned. So he is pushing by Wike to make sure he crippled the
Are
party.
you not challenging an innocent Wike?
You know, innocent is the one who crippled PDP.
Wike is
Nothing. Don't you hear what he said? He said he even made them say the court must have recognized Gombe. What concern him inside? What are you talking about? Me, I don't afraid of Wike. Who is Wike? Wike is nothing.
But are you not alleging?
Wike don't see me for age for anything.
Do you have evidence?
He said it out openly now. Don't you see when he challenged the journalist, say he will smash the teeth?
But the INEC chairman said he's maintaining status quo ante bello.
Won't you start off? That INEC is not independent. Is department under presidency.
You are alleging. You are alleging.
Oh, alleging for what?
You
The
are
man,
alleging.
look, we are saying Yakubu, Jega, those one professional, they better pass this. This one they bring information.
Now, are you afraid we are going to one party state?
Don't you see? You say we are going for renewal of a voter card. Where do you see that one? It's one party system. They want only President Bola Tinubu to appear in the ballot, and we cannot do it. We cannot. We will. This is democracy. Any party have right to contest. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. We can. Nobody can force us to go for one party. If we force us one party, can he come? If he not come, what are you talking about?
Okay, Alaji, let me allow you to calm down and enjoy a very wonderful day. We thank you for coming and spending your time. We'll watch how the drama unfold. Or are you planning to defect?
To defect to where? I am still in ADC, not to defect. A member.
Which of the ADC, David Mark or the other?
They don't have any fashion. That fashion is there.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Aruna Garios Gololo, retired military personnel and chieftain of the ADC, had been our guest. He looks so unhappy. We hope that he could find time to smile. And when you get home, so that you don't pass this on Hajia and the kids, doctor, just find time to smile and relax. Okay, thank you for staying with us and being part of the show. We now hand you over to Lagos, where Ms. Elena is standing by to continue with This Morning on Independent Television. Please stay tuned.
Many thanks for joining our Lagos Network Studio. We're still on This Morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Umkor. Happy holidays to you all out there. And our guest this morning helping us, and the topic is to Sam Wasinde. He is a public affairs analyst. Hello, Doctor. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Good to have me this morning.
And thank you so much for coming. All right, so today we're going to be looking at the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC. They have stopped recognizing the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC factions, including the camp led by the former Senate President David Mark. and others. So the INEC says this action was taken to respect the court. But now the ADC is saying that the INEC is working in direction with the ruling party, which is the All Progressive Party. And now they are calling for the resignation of the INEC chairman, Joash Amopitan. And this, has, spiraled the internet, ADC versus INEC, legal compliance since all political interference. So basically today, that is what we'll be talking about. This also leads to the 2027 election. Dr. Sam, would you say now that the INEC is truly acting within the law? Because according to them, they are following the court's order. Has it overstepped its constitutional boundaries?
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me. It's really unfortunate. Before I respond to this, we are in Easter season where we're actually supposed to be talking about goodwills.
Yeah,
and
the resurrection of Christ.
The resurrection of Christ, and the likes. But you will see that since Good Friday, on or before Good Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's been politics here, killing here, massacre here. So it's really quite unfortunate. Today is Easter Monday and there's a public holiday. We're still supposed to be talking around that, but unfortunately this is where we find ourselves. Having said that, I am not a lawyer that I would have responded from the legal perspective, but at least when we see things, we'll be able to look in between, and try to make sense out of it. If the INEC says they are working within the frame of the law, I have so many questions and reason to doubt that. The reason is because the court said they should return back to status quo. Now, status quo for me, it could mean two things. One, either we return back to David Mark leadership, or we return back to WOSU leadership. But returning back to status quo does not necessarily mean no leadership, because that is exactly what it implies. So if you are telling us that you are not going to recognize David Mark, and then you are not also recognizing even the person who came to bring the matter, which is Bala Gombe, and then you are leaving us with no leadership. So what is the status quo there? It doesn't really make sense to me at all. An average Nigerian that status quo simply means return back to no leadership. So even if they have to go back to court, who is actually going back to court? Because there's no leadership. Now, don't forget that this same matter is applicable to almost all the to all the parties. Even PDP has the same similar issues, because at some point, PDP also had their own convention somewhere in, is it Ekiti or so? And then it was not recognized until we had another one which was recognized. That had not even been resolved. So the case is actually similar. So for me, I don't understand why the INEC is taking the position it's taking, and is want us to believe that it's actually operating within the arm of the law. So by you saying that you will not recognize them, and you will not also recognize whatever they do in their party, for me, you are just trying to make it difficult for the party, so that this idea and this notion and this belief of one party system, you're actually building the track record towards that direction. That's how we all see it as Nigeria.
Yeah, and now the ADC, they're saying that the INEC chairman is working with the APC, the ruling party. And also the ADC currently, they're requesting for the resignation of the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopitan. What do we have to say about that?
Well, like I said, if you check the way everything is going, it's not far from, even if it is not what it is, it's already looking exactly like that. Because you are making it difficult for the party, knowing fully well that in the next couple of days they are having their convention, and you are coming with this position. That is your own interpretation of the law. Okay, so for me, no matter how you analyze it, it's not far from what they are saying. It may not be true, but it's already appearing to be so, because you are doing everything possible to make it look like that is exactly what you are working on. And then on the other hand, for the ADC to be calling for the resignation. Of course, they have the right to do so, but whether that is possible is another matter, because knowing fully well that the INEC chairman they are not appointed usually by election. They are appointed by Mr. President.
The President, sure.
So if you are calling for his resignation, that also determines the position of the President. And if this decision favors the President, why do you think that he will want to remove the INEC President? So I think the ADC should think of another way to approach this matter rather than taking the position they are taking, because it's like we are throwing towards an impossible, direction, because the President will have to assent to say the man should go or not to go. And if it favors him, why will he want to say the man should go?
So if he favors him, he wouldn't want the man to leave.
There's no way. There's no way. Even if it was the ADC and they have somebody who is favoring them, would they have said that the person should go because the opposition says so? It's clear now. So the President will not, except if it's against his interest. Then, even if the opposition didn't speak, he would definitely want to remove him, because from all indication, he wants to go for second term. So whatever would jeopardize that, he will take it out of his way.
So you see this crisis that it will weaken the opposition parties ahead of 2027 election?
Well, I wouldn't want to say that it will weaken them. It will only give them tough time. That's because if you check the leadership and the current people who are in that party, you will know that these are almost ancestors of politics, because they've been around for a very long while. So they will definitely find a way, around all this. So I don't see it really weakening them, but it's going to make it very, very difficult for them. Some of the things that they would have done easily, they will have to find a way over and over again, and then see how they can navigate their way around it. So it's going to be very tough for them, but I think they will definitely find a way around it. And that's because, you see, like I said, these things may not be new to them. So because they've been in the game and for a while, so they know what they should expect. It is only the Nigerian people, common man, that is trying to figure it out. But I can tell you for free that these people might have actually figure it out and decide on the approach in which they should go. They did a press conference, shortly after that. I want to say that for them to have even taken that decision to do that press conference, they also have a strategy on how to actually go about it. So I believe that in the coming days, we will see what ADC and the leadership actually had in mind.
A lot of person thinks at this point, a lot of Nigerians feel that the opposition parties, let's talk about the PDP and the ADC, they're not strong enough for the current ruling party, the APC, ahead of 2027 election. What would you have?
Now, if not, maybe because they are not strong, but the current leader of the party, which is the FCT minister, had already changed his direction, and he said he's going with the current sitting president. So that for me is not a weakening. Rather, he just channeled their strength towards that direction. But for the ADC, I don't believe that they don't have what it takes, because if they don't, the rate in which the ruling party is jittering and working hard tells you that they have something they are afraid of. I've said it countless times. They keep saying they have 30, 31, 32, maybe the whole governors in Nigeria, but they still have this issue of free and fair. They are not really making any statement categorically to say that this election should be done free and fair. I've never heard them say anything about that. Rather, they just keep picking on issues and then overheating the system, just to set the people in confusion, and that's that. For me, I think that the ruling party has something they are afraid of, and rather than facing their fear, they are trying to make us believe that the ADC or any of the opposition party does not have what it takes to stand there. If I know that you don't have what it takes to stand me, I will even be trying to create an advantage for you so that I can beat you clear, so that the whole world will see that I actually beat you clean and clear. But the way they are going, trying to bring in some policies and stuff like that, even if they are not the one bringing it, for the fact that they are not reacting to us, that it shows that their hands are in it. Part of it is like when you are saying we should come and do permanent voters card. You said permanent. Is it that you don't understand what the word permanent is? If we're talking about the permanent voters card had been around for like 50 years, then you want to say, okay, that it makes a little sense. But how old is the voters card? And we have never had issue with it. The only time there was an issue was that there was a glitch, which the INEC till tomorrow have not explained to us. So when they are coming up with all this, they have not explained to Nigerians why should we subscribe to what they are bringing to the table when they have not cleared the issue they claim was the reason why we had a problem last time. And they want us to believe them. They want us to take it that way. So for me, I see it as a strategy to frustrate the opposition party. And so if you believe that you have what it takes to overcome them, why are you creating some of these bottlenecks to make it difficult, for them to, prevail?
But at this point, don't you think it's about the ruling party and the people versus the people?
Yes, I believe. I've said
rather than the APC versus the opposition party.
Yes, I think I've said that countless times on your studio, that this 2027 election is actually Nigerian people and the ruling party. But you see, the Nigerian people still need to go through a party. There's no way they can come to power than outside a party. So even though it is between, they need a party to bring them into power. So, and that is where the ruling current government is trying to see how they can cripple those areas so that it will be difficult for Nigerians to actually stand toe-to-toe with them. So that's where the challenge is. So but it's actually between Nigeria and the ruling party.
So would you say the ADC is actually correct, them saying that them saying INEC is working with the current ruling party?
Well, like I said, I will not say they are correct or they are wrong, because I am not in the party and in the system to know and to get where they get their facts from. But I'm speaking that based on what we are seeing currently now, that is, visible, and the activities is pointing towards that direction. It will be difficult for INEC to even convince me as a person that they are not actually working with the ruling party, because, again, all the policies and some of the things they are introducing, I've never had the ruling party speak against any of them. So it looks like it's something they've done in the bedroom. These guys are bringing it to the public. Otherwise, I expect, even if it is in pretense, the ruling party should have come and said, no, let's look at it. So it shows that, okay, these guys are neutral. But every stuff they are introducing, you don't hear the ruling party saying anything at all. That is because it looks like it's in their favor. It looks like it is not strange to them. It's something that they have discussed. It may not be, but like I said, the way INEC, particularly the INEC chairman, is going about it, it is making it look so. So that's why I say, I as a person, as a Nigerian, it will be difficult for him to convince me that it's not working with the ruling party, because his positions is just frustrating.
Oh, okay, okay. What precedents do you think this is setting for other political parties?
Please come again.
What precedents is this setting? All these things that is actually that is happening. What precedent do you think is setting for other political parties?
Well, for me, I think that all the parties need to really be on top of their game.
Okay.
All the ruling all the opposition parties needs to really be at the top of their game, because this what we are seeing is one of the things that always happen. If you remember, let's go back to LP, Labour Party at that time. You see, the moment there is a might in the particular party, these kind of things are bound to happen, because bad contact minorities could happen. Remember, people like along the line, what it is we're having on PC. Remember, one can't remember, the president was trying to say that APC is trying to get back at it because they took some of their strong members, and it was mentioning some names. I'm trying to remember who was that. I saw it actually online when it was, I think it was on one of the TV stations when they were talking, they took Amechi, they took this one. So, and you expect us to sit down and keep quiet.
I mean, those people defected on their own.
But this is somebody who is in the ruling party making such statement. And like I said, the ruling party do not come out at any time to like counter and say, no, this guy is speaking on his own. No. It just looks like everything is just normal. So for me, opposition parties should step up their game if they really want to prevail. Otherwise, they have quite a lot to contend with in order to avoid a brick wall.
If they want to be, they should step up, top up their game. Okay, let's talk about public trust in INEC ahead of 2027. How might this affect the public trust?
Well, if you see the reaction of the people, I think I learned that maybe tomorrow or next, there may likely be protests at the INEC headquarters. I'm not too sure, but there was supposed to be last week. Well, I think it's put that they will accept their fate. But you see, having said that, if the INEC continues in this path they are towing, I'm afraid it may break the trust of Nigeria. Nigerians are still staying on. They have 1,001 reasons why their trust should be broken, but they have made up their mind not to allow that trust to be broken. But if INEC continues in this path, I'm afraid that that trust will be broken. And when it is broken, it becomes risk. It becomes danger to Nigeria as a whole. I've also watched online, I don't know, I saw one or two persons who have started making some hard statements. And for me, they are trying to indicate that if break, I will not keep quiet, I will react. Okay. We don't need to come to that point. I had somebody who was saying, if I agree, they die. This is not our language. But when you start hearing people saying this, it simply means that they are trying to say that, look, we trust in this process, don't be what it is.
Thinking that, okay, now that you're here as the new INEC chairman, we expect more from you. Do you think Nigeria is good to get that ahead of 2027 election? I mean, 2027 election is just by the corner.
Well, you see, first and foremost, I think we'll get this as nice, even though we have had. The process is the INEC chairman matters.
Okay.
Okay, so even if you are a good, we don't terms they are that would have been background for you, but don't forget that he's not the only choice. Other choice people would have been presented to the president, so he has his reason for picking whoever he decide and appoint him as the chairman. So even if you are a good man, if the man appointing you is not a good person, you're going to have a problem. But if you are a bad person and you are appointed by a good man, the tendency of adjustment is very high because expect some certain, from this is what Nigeria starts. The chairman applies if it is not in so just make the man, I think we special for me is delusion because apply something like it and want to do avoid
quickly.
Try quick and then decide the fate or the position of ADC so that Nigerians will know which direction to go. This is not one case that should stay too long. It can be speeded up within a day, 2 or 3. These things can be trashed up, and then for the ADC, they can make a little adjustment if necessary. Maybe move their date by a day or 2, so that they can get the clearance from the court, and then we can move on as Nigerians.
Okay, let's take our minds back to when the INEC chairman was appointed by the president. I mean, then the Senate approves it. A lot of Nigerians at that point were saying, why would the president be the one to appoint the INEC chairman? And some persons, of course, speculation saying that the president will want to, place someone there. He knows that, okay, even if I'm telling you to do this, you would want to obey because, I put you there. And at the same time, the Senate, they approves it. Lots of Nigerians did not agree with, the thought of thinking, or you already have it in mind that, okay, it's the president that would appoint the INEC chairman. If the president should appoint the INEC chairman, they're expecting a lot from him, especially when 2027 is just by the corner.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I've said earlier.
You just said, yeah.
You see, it's called independent. So the process itself is not independent. So if we want to get a chairman that would be fair and free in carrying out his duty, then the law itself that permits or allow the president to appoint should be visited.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will continue to have this. Like I said, he was not the only person that might have been presented to the president, and the president has his reason for appointing him as the INEC, chairman. And like I said, whether consciously or unconsciously, you may somehow find yourself doing the bidding of the man who appointed you. But if he was elected by the people, he knows that he has the mandate of the people, so he will be free, he will be fair. He can take some particular stand and position, and then he can drive through, the particular cause. But unfortunately, that's not what it is now until that matter is visited. Coming to even the Senate, over 90% of the Senate are also the ruling party. So what we're expecting from them, these are people who can pass law within 4 hours. They can pass bill within hours, particularly if them. But we have that is pending on them. They are still saying nothing. In fact, even the issue of what is it called now? There's one particular issue about the state policing. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit. You could see that it's still pending. They are looking for about 18 months to do the framework, and stuff like that. But we have a subsidiary bill, loan, which was passed in a couple of an hour. So we should expect such from them because they are members of the ruling party.
Okay, what is the best way for ADC now to avoid political irrelevance?
Well, for me, I think, like I said, they have enough giants who are not new to this kind of challenges. Previous experiences would have also taught them, and I also expect that they would have seen this coming. So they should put their house together, address this matter as quick as possible. The issue of Bello Gombe, I think they should still have a further conversation with him if necessary. Okay. Let them know exactly what the matters are. But the ultimate of the, or they should head quickly back to court and see what the true interpretation is concerning the matter, so that we can chart, Nigerians can chart their way forward. So that's my advice for them.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Sam was in there for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, all our beautiful viewers, for joining our Lagos Network studio this morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unkwa. We would be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on CMI. Do stay with us. And once again, happy Easter celebration.
Hello and welcome to the news update on ITV. I am Oluwapo Stevens. The word-to-word campaign of APC House of Representatives aspirant for Oredo Federal Constituency, Honorable Osaro Obaze, has continued to gain momentum as his campaign train moved from Ward 3 through Ward 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 in Oredo local government area. At the various wards, the campaign team received a rousing welcome from party leaders and members. Dolad Ayemie completes the report.
The aspirants, accompanied by key party stakeholders from across the constituency, used the visit to engage directly with grassroots supporters and constituents across political divides. Speaking at the various wards, Honorable Osaro Obaze emphasized his commitment to delivering quality and purposeful representation. He noted that his aspiration is driven by the need to improve the living standards of constituents through people-oriented policies and inclusive governance.
People who left their jobs, who abandoned functions, to come back here to stay since morning is a thing that I will remain eternally grateful for. And just to seize this opportunity to assure them that when given the opportunity to serve in this capacity, that I will not rest in my hours until I fight to bring about a better life of our people.
Party leaders, in their separate remarks, described Honorable Obaze as a credible and capable candidate, expressing confidence in his ability to reposition Oedo Federal Constituency. They urged party members to remain united and committed ahead of the APC primaries in order to support his emergence as the party candidate for the 2027 House of Representatives election.
I worked with him when I was in the council as a supervisor for youth and sport. He did very well, he even tied roads.
We in Ward 4, we are giving him 100% support. Time has come to take what his record of performance and the remainder performance of Oredo is there to speak only for him.
The interests of the people is highly represented here. People of Oredo Ward 6 will definitely do the needful.
From his political pronunciamento and his political network in the entire 12 votes in Oredo, you agree with me that it's actually down to earth and the people need him.
Across all the wards visited, there was a strong show of support and admiration for Honorable Osaro Obaze's candidacy as constituents and party faithful pledged their backing and assured him of massive support ahead of the 2027 general elections. From Benin, Donald Eminyen, ITV News.
Meanwhile, the Ikwebuka Local Government Chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC has produced a serving acting chairman of the local government, Honorable Eric Osawaru, as the candidate of the party for the Saturday, July 11th, 2026 chairmanship election in Edo State. Honorable Eric Osawaru emerged the candidate of the party in the primaries of the APC held across 190 wards of Edo State on Friday, which was supervised by the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission, while party officials and monitored by civil societies and the media. The report is presented by Ikmowusa Ugiagbe.
As the Saturday, July 11, 2026 local government election draws near, the All Progressives Congress APC in Ikwebuka local government area, like others in Edo State, held its primaries, which was conducted by party officials and supervised by the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission, monitored by civil societies and the media with vast number of security personnel to maintain peace and decorum. The primaries, which was held under the direct election method and conducted by the APC Electoral Committee to Ikwebuka local government area, headed by the State Financial Secretary and former member Edo State House of Assembly, Honorable Fidelis Ogbejeli, saw the emergence of the acting chairman of the council, Honorable Eric Osawaru, who came out on tops.
At the end of the exercise, Honorable C. Eric Osawaru a total vote of 4,931 and was declared as APC candidate for Bauchi.
The local government primaries committee chairman Abdullahi Bello ratified the results.
We have received the candidates for the local government election for our party, All Progressive Congress.
The APC candidate in the 2026 local government election, Honorable Eric Osawaru, in his appreciation, thanked all those behind his success at the primaries, adding that the victory positions him for the eventual victory at the July 11 later in the year.
I want to thank you very much for this confidence you've all given me. By the special grace of God, I'll continue to do my best to discharge my duty without any bias.
Other party faithful commended the peaceful conduct of the APC primaries and asked that it must be sustained to deepen democratic practice at the grassroots. Ikmowusa Ugiagbe, ITV News.
In the meantime, the acting chairman of Isako Central Local Government Council, Right Honorable Cephas Yakubu, has presented a 2026 draft budget estimate tagged the Shine Agenda, outlining the council's development priorities for the coming year. The proposed budget focuses on key sectors including the administration, the economy, social services, as well as land and justice, following a comprehensive review of previous budget performance. Anthony Igbano has more.
Machinery of revenue generation and collection will be strengthened by this administration during the fiscal year. This will be pursued as a deliberate policy to ensure maximum mobilization of resources for our development program. Secondly, execution of capital projects will attract great focus of this administration, coupled with distribution of earth-moving equipment by His Excellency Senator Money Okwe.
Speaking after the presentation, the Okugbe of Fuga Clan, His Royal Highness Emmanuel Oga, commended the council performance and urged the leadership to remain committed to the full implementation of the budget for the benefit of the people.
The budget, to me, was well executed based on releases and fund available to the council. We saw the number of works they did, construction, manpower development, socio-cultural, agricultural, and all other areas where they perform. The projects are there for people to see.
Also speaking, the Okpukpi of Ogbuna sub-clan, His Royal Highness Chief Vincent Otue, described the budget as comprehensive and inclusive, noting that it reflects the developmental needs of all sectors in Isako Central.
I'm very happy because all the sectors we are well touched.
Anthony Igbano, ITV News.
Away from that now to other stories where the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, has warned that Nigeria is drifting dangerously amid what he described as endless turbulence, cautioning that the country could slide into a deeper crisis if urgent steps are not taken to restore trust, security, and good governance. In his 2026 Easter message issued on Sunday, entitled Faith and Hope in Times of Turbulence, Kuka painted a grim picture of a nation weighed down by insecurity, hardship, and leadership challenges. Well, he said the Western security situation has spiraled into a humanitarian crisis with thousands killed, millions displaced, and several communities devastated by violence. Kuka warned the growing distrust in the military and other government institutions was pushing desperate citizens into dangerous alliances, including collaboration with criminal elements. Now, despite the bleak outlook, Kuka urged Nigerians, particularly Christians, not to give in to despair, but to remain steadfast in faith and moral responsibility. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has announced an indefinite nationwide strike starting from 12 a.m. Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Now, according to NARD, the strike follows the federal government's decision to halt the implementation of the revised professional allowance table, a key component of agreement reached after NARD's 2025 industrial action. The decision was which accepted to disrupt healthcare services across Nigeria, once again was reached at the end of the association's virtual extraordinary National Executive Council meeting held on Saturday. In a statement signed by the association's national president, Dr. Shaibu Ibrahim, NAD described the development as unfortunate, blaming the federal government for pushing doctors toward another industrial action. According to Dr. Ibrahim, the crisis stems from the implementation of a revised professional allowance table, which was negotiated between NARD and the federal government following the prolonged strike in 2025. In the meantime, a retired federal permanent secretary, Mr. Ernest Afolabi Umahihe, has formally declared his intention to contest for the Owa federal constituency seat in the House of Representatives. The declaration was made before a large crowd of supporters and all Progressive Congress members at Ira Primary School ground in Owa East local government area, Edo State. Jonah Omorua reports.
Ira Primary School, venue of the formal declaration ceremony, was agog with celebration as all Progressive Congress supporters in their large number warmly received Mr. Ernest Afolabi, a retired federal permanent secretary who made his intention of contesting for the Owan federal constituency seat in the House of Representatives known to his party members and teaming supporters. He promised to build on his track records and embark more on people-oriented programs and projects that will impact the lives of his constituents positively if given the opportunity to serve.
So I come to you today to seek your support. If you are an APC party member, to consider me for the position of the candidate of the Federal House of Representatives for our great party.
A former member of the House of Representatives and Deputy Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly, Honorable Pari Iriase, and other chieftains of APC, while endorsing Mr. Ernest Afolabi, described him as the best man to represent Owan Federal constituency.
We need somebody who has the milk of human kindness. We want somebody who knows that empowerment of our youth is the real deal today.
At this particular time in the history of one land, we need a man like him to represent us at the federal level.
If you look at his precedents and antecedents, we know if he says he will serve the people, he will serve the people.
Some defectors from other political parties were received into the fold of the APC. Representative of the OV of Utuo, several ward chairmen from Owan East and West, members of clubs, associations, youth and women groups were among those in attendance at the declaration event. From Utuo in Owan East local government area of Edo State, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
And that ends the news at this time. Thank you so much for watching. I am Anuluwakbo Stevens. Up next is TMI Socials.
ITV, certainly the best.
Happy holiday. Good morning. This is TMI Socials. I am Anuluwakbo Stevens. Or better still, call me your social media butterfly. Now today we kickstart in Abuja, interestingly online, as the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has come under intense criticism from civil society organizations, media groups and opposition figures over a controversial remark in which he called out on Seun Okinbaloye and did say that he was going to shoot him when he was watching Politics Today. Let's have a feel of the drama. Take a look.
emotional. In fact, I was surprised yesterday. Thoroughly surprised. When I was watching politics today, Seun, if there was any way to break the screen, I would have shot him.
I'm coming, mother.
In 5 feet, we'll get to him. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, see what I'm saying. No, the point I'm saying is how you can take yourself, the interviewer, saying that we cannot allow this only one party to do. Look, I said, what is this? I'm coming. You are an interviewer. You are not telling them your own view, that how can they be there and make a mistake to allow.
What makes the race very interesting is when it's competitive. I mean, not when only one party stands in the middle of the ballot and you're looking for the rest of the political party. But I mean, when some of us talk, it looks like our mouth is smelling. Yeah, we've been on this ground for a while, and you thought that there are a lot of experienced men in the ADC. They should have seen the devil in some of the issues that have been raised over the past month. But we get one of them talking tonight about the state of the ADC. Particularly, it looks like one of the only hopes of opposition going into 2027. If this hope is dashed, we are doomed, democratically speaking.
So, in fact, I was surprised yesterday. Thoroughly surprised when I was watching politics today.
Now, that was the video that got the Minister of the FCT all talking. But yesterday, Seun did talk about what he felt with the video and the comment from the Minister of the FCT. Take a look.
Safety. I also received a call from the Honorable Minister who clarified that the intention was not as conveyed. While that is noted, it is important to emphasize that violent rhetoric or suggestive threats are never appropriate responses to dissent in a democratic society. At a time like this, particularly during an election season, clear and consistent assurances of safety are critical. We must not create an environment where such statements can be exploited by those with harmful intentions. Let me be clear, I'm not afraid, and I will never and not be intimidated. Journalism, grounded in ethics and global best practices, remains a duty to the public, not a concession to power. We may disagree, and as humans, we may err, but dissent must never descend into hostility or harm. I will continue to do what I love.
There you have it. He is not afraid and he is not going to be intimidated. Let's move over to social media street and see what you have been saying regarding the story. This user wrote on X, "My anger is with those media guys that sat down there and was just listening to him with any confrontation concerning the threat to life of their colleague." Another user reacting to the story wrote, "That kind of statement from a public official was deeply troubling. Leaders should be setting examples of restraint and respect for the press, not making violent remarks about journalists doing their jobs. Freedom of speech and accountability are cornerstones of any democracy." While still reacting to the story, this user says, "When people in power say things like that and no one checks them, it is normalized. Accountability shouldn't be optional. Hope Seun is paying close attention to, because moments like this show people exactly where everyone stands." Now, away from that, let's move over to Ogun State, where over the weekend we saw President Bola Tinubu visit Ogun State to commission a Gateway International Airport in Iperu and unveiled a new state-owned airline, Gateway Air, marking a significant milestone in the state's ongoing infrastructure development agenda. Now, the viral moment that caught a lot of attention was when the president met with former President Olusegun Obasanjo and he doballed to say welcome. Well, take a look.
Thank you, sir. Let's go, please.
Well, that is some high level of respect going on there, but trust social media users to react to this. We'll start off with this user who wrote on X. An incumbent president bowing for a former president makes me proud of being a Yoruba man. Another user on X wrote, this one says, I love my tribe despite OBJ and Asiwaju differences. They put that aside for a common goal, and Asiwaju bowed to greet OBJ without looking at his eyes, a significant sign of respect in Yoruba culture. We give respect based on 3 factors: age, position, experience. Now, away from that, let's go over to Kaduna State, where yesterday precisely tragedy did hit Kaduna, the Ariko community in Kachia local government area of the state. Now, when terrorists carried out coordinated attacks on 2 Christian worship centers, killing at least 7 people and abducting several others. The bloody attack, which occurred during the early hours of yesterday morning, targeted congregants at the First Equa Church and St. Augustine Catholic Church while they were celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Let's look at a video that went viral online. Really a sad one, but reacting to this, here is what netizens have been saying online. This one says, another Easter Sunday, another bloodbath in Kaduna. Worshippers slaughters inside their churches while celebrating the resurrection. When will the killing stop? President Tinubu, how many more Christians must die before you act? Another user online wrote, it's becoming a pattern. These guys are bent on putting our dear country on the wrong side of the map. Now, reacting to this, in a video that has now gone viral, Apostle Johnson Suleiman says it is waste of prayer when you've elected a bad person. The only prayer you pray is the grace to survive the suffering. The height of insensitivity in Nigeria is when people mourn and you send media to do damage control. Let's take a listen.
When people are grieving, tell your media to keep quiet. So if it doesn't touch you, it will touch you if you don't scream out. It's a waste praying when you have elected a bad person. The only prayer you now pray is the grace to survive the suffering. The height of insensitivity is when people are mourning. You are sending media to do damage control. I'm sorry to say, this is one of the most terrible times to be a Nigerian because evil is becoming regular. And do you know what that thing does to you? You wake up, they say 40 people have been killed so and so place. You say, oh yeah, and we move on. Do you know what that does to the construct of your mind? It is killing empathy. Death is becoming normal. Empathy is gone. Zero empathy. So, and we are not debating numbers. No, it's not 50. No, it's 45. We are not debating numbers of chicken that were roasted. We are debating numbers of lives. Empathy is a normal thing. Growing up, when a man dies in a street, for one...
Oh dear, God help us. Reacting to this, a social media street, let's see what you have been saying with this user responding. Bad leaders don't just appear, we allow them. Prayer is powerful, but Nigeria's problem is not lack of prayer, it is lack of accountability. Now another user reacting to this wrote, if we could have another tweet, this user says, with respect to the man of God, he is wrong. There's nothing prayer cannot change. No matter how bad the situation is, always take it to God in prayer. Now, as we get to wrap up TMI Socials today, in a video that has now gone viral, we get to see our very own Shali Puppy at the Oba of Benin Palace singing Lao. Take a look.
Taking me photo. Paparazzi. Lao. 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 Lao.
So I'm pretty sure that at this point, all Nigerians are saying is, Lao, Mr. President, do something. The security situation in the country is really terrible. We get to end TMI Socials on this note. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Anuluwapo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, Lagos, Abuja, and right here in Edo State, we'll see you again tomorrow. Please stay safe.
I